When we speak of cremation, most people see it as the final act of a human life, a ritual to dispose of the body. But for those who are even slightly sensitive to the deeper layers of existence, cremation is not just a physical act. It is a symbol, a profound message encoded in fire, reminding us of the essential truths that we are otherwise too busy or too blind to see. The flames that consume the body are not just flames. They are a language of truth that speaks to the soul. In every ancient tradition that understood life beyond its surface, rituals were never created randomly, especially something as sacred as the disposal of a body. Cremation was not chosen because it's efficient or clean. It was chosen because fire transforms everything it touches. And in that transformation, it silently shouts the deepest truths. What you thought was you is no more. The body that carried your name, your habits, your emotions, and all your pride is now ash. That is not a tragedy. That is clarity. That is a wake-up call. But in the modern world, we have forgotten the symbolism and are obsessed only with the surface. We perform rituals mechanically, without awareness. We burn the body, but we don't allow its burning to light anything within us. In truth, cremation is not for the dead. The one who has departed has no concern with rituals. It is the living who must stand before that fire and see themselves, see what they too are headed toward. The fire becomes a mirror, but only if you have the eyes to see. The very act of burning the body is an invitation to see beyond the illusion of permanence. A body is born, a body dies, but consciousness is untouched. When we cremate, it is not just an end. It is a symbol of liberation, a reminder that the body was never you to begin with. And when this is grasped deeply, even witnessing a cremation becomes not a moment of sorrow, but a moment of profound clarity. A curtain lifts, a veil drops, and reality peeks through, if we are willing. To dismiss cremation as just a way to dispose of the body is to miss the most powerful spiritual lesson that life can offer. Fire does not just end a life, it reveals the truth of life. It tells you you were never the form, you were always the formless. This truth is not written in scriptures. It is etched in ash. You don't need to read it. You need to feel it. In that heat, in that smoke, in that final release is a doorway to awakening, if only we dare to step through it. The body, what a marvelous instrument. It breathes, moves, feels, and experiences. But the tragedy is, most human beings confuse the instrument with the self. We say, my hand, my heart, my face. But somewhere deep inside, we act as though we are the body. This is the most fundamental illusion. And yet, this illusion is powerful enough to bind us to a limited existence. The body is temporary, a borrowed garment. It belongs to the earth, and to the earth it returns. But you, the one who perceives, who experiences, who knows, you are something else entirely. From the moment of birth, the body begins its journey toward dissolution. Cells decay, tissues change, hair grays, skin wrinkles. The body is constantly reminding you, through to time and transformation, that it is not eternal. Yet we cling to it. We decorate it, idolize it, protect it at all costs, not realizing that the real suffering comes from this attachment. When we treat the body as ours, without awareness of its temporariness, we set ourselves up for fear, for anxiety, for pain. when it begins to wither. But when you see the body as a vehicle, not a destination, something shifts. Imagine a traveler who falls in love with the vehicle and forgets the journey. That is how most people live. We get so invested in how we look, how we feel, how others see us, that we never ask, who is it that sees? Who is this presence within that has remained unchanged from childhood to now? The body changed, the thoughts changed, the emotions came and went, but some knowing remained. That is you. That is the eternal within the temporary. Death and the ritual of cremation comes as a brutal reminder. The body, so dear, is now lifeless. And in a few moments, it is ash. What remains? Nothing that can be touched, held, or weighed. And yet for those who knew the person, something remains. The presence, the love, the essence that had nothing to do with flesh and bone. This is why it is said, you are not the body. You are the one who occupied it. Like a guest in a house. Thus, the house may crumble. The guest moves on. If we can truly grasp the temporariness of the body, not intellectually but experientially, a profound freedom opens up. Suddenly fear loses its grip, aging becomes graceful, and death is no longer an enemy but a transition. The body is temporary, yes, but you, the conscious presence, the awareness behind the eyes, you are not. You are the stillness behind the storm, the witness behind the world, the space in which all things happen. The moment you realize this, life stops being a survival race and becomes a dance of liberation. Fire has fascinated human beings since the dawn of consciousness. It was the first element we both feared and revered. But beyond its physical utility, fire has always held deep symbolic and spiritual meaning. In almost every ancient culture, fire was seen not just as a source of light and heat, but as a force of purification and transformation. When something passes through fire, it is never the same again. And that's the point. Fire doesn't preserve. It burns away the unessential. That is its gift. That is its truth. When we cremate a body, it is not out of disrespect. In fact, it is the ultimate act of reverence toward the cycle of life. We offer the body to fire because fire does not lie. It does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you were rich or poor, wise or foolish, loved or hated. It simply returns you to the elements. And in doing so, it teaches a truth more profound than any scripture. That what is real cannot be burned. And what can be burned was never truly you. Fire becomes the revealer of what's false. In spiritual terms, fire is awareness. Just as physical fire burns impurities in matter, awareness burns away the lies we tell ourselves. The false identities, the borrowed beliefs, the emotional baggage. All of it can be consumed if you are willing to let the fire within rise. But most people live without ever lighting that inner fire. They wait for the funeral pyre to do the job. But by then, it's too late to awaken. The real transformation must happen while you are alive. The inner fire must purify the ego, not just the body. There is a reason why many spiritual practices speak of tapas. The heat of discipline, the fire of seeking. The true seeker willingly steps into the fire of truth, even if it burns their comfort, because they know whatever burns away was never them to begin with. Fire is not cruel. Fire is compassionate. It takes away your delusions and leaves behind clarity. It may be intense, yes, but its intensity is medicine, not punishment. And unless you experience that fire, you cannot be reborn into your true self. So, when we speak of cremation as a final ritual, we must also ask, what about the cremation of illusions while living? Can we offer our pride, our fear, our masks into the fire of awareness? The fire outside burns the body once, but the fire inside, if allowed, burns falsehood every single day. That is true purification. That is liberation. Until we are willing to step into that fire, we will continue to carry the weight of what we are not. But the moment we do, a great light is born within. When a loved one passes, families often turn to rituals. Chanting, lighting lamps, offering food, burning the body, or burying it with ceremonies. But we must understand this with absolute clarity. The dead are beyond rituals. The moment life energy leaves the body, it no longer responds to our actions. Rituals do not benefit the one who has departed. They are a mirror for the living, a sacred structure designed to shake us out of unconscious existence. We perform rituals not to help the dead transition, but to help ourselves awaken to what death is pointing at. In truth, these rituals were created by ancient minds who had a deep understanding of the human psyche. They knew how emotionally entangled we become with names, forms, attachments, and roles. So rituals were created to provide space, reflection, and an opportunity for detachment. But in today's world, most people go through these acts blindly, without presence, without understanding, without asking why. What was once a profound moment of spiritual insight has become a mechanical performance because we have lost the inner connection to its purpose. The one who has passed is not waiting for flowers or fire, but you standing there watching the body that once held laughter, warmth, and life, you are being invited into something powerful. If you are truly present in that moment, death becomes a meditation. The finality of the body opens a doorway into seeing life differently. Rituals are reminders, tools that say, look, this is where you two are headed. This is not sorrow, this is truth. Now live in alignment with it. But for this, one must be receptive, not busy, not distracted, not numb. Even the most sacred rituals lose their meaning if done without awareness. But even the simplest act, a moment of silence, a conscious breath, a single tear, when done with presence, can become a powerful spiritual event. The value of the ritual is not in its complexity, but in its ability to connect you with truth. Every fire lit, every chant recited is a pointer, not to the heavens above, but to the silence within. It tells you, now that this body has dropped, what will you do with the time left in yours? So, we must stop treating rituals like obligations. They are opportunities, sacred spaces carved into time that can awaken awareness, bring clarity, and push us deeper into understanding life, but only if we're willing to look beyond the outer performance and listen to what the moment is whispering. Death is not a disturbance, it is the greatest teacher. And rituals are not for the one who has gone. They are for the one who remains, so they don't go back to sleep. In a world filled with noise and distraction, clarity is rare. Most people see life only through the lens of survival. Food, money, status, relationships. They go through rituals, traditions, and even profound moments like birth and death without truly seeing what is in front of them. But there are a few, not necessarily saints or sages, but those who are inwardly still, inwardly open, who can perceive the subtle layers behind life's surface. These are the good, not in a moralistic sense, but in a spiritual sense, the ones whose inner soil has become fertile enough for truth to grow. To such individuals, even an act as final and ordinary as cremation is not an end, but a beginning of deep perception. While others are mourning, reacting, or escaping, the aware one stands still. They don't just see fire consuming flesh, they see impermanence being revealed. They don't just hear chants, they feel the vibration of letting go. The good are not distracted by the drama of life. They are tuned into the invisible dimensions of existence. And in this tuning, truth becomes visible not as an idea, but as an undeniable presence. This understanding cannot be taught through books or words. It must arise from within. That's why ancient wisdom never aimed to convince. It aimed to prepare a human being to receive truth. And truth only lands where the inner space is clean, free from bias, arrogance, greed, or fear. The good, the aware, have done the work. They've sat with their shadows. They've looked into their mortality, not once but many times. So when death happens, they don't panic. They perceive, not because they are special, but because they have been paying attention. In the presence of death, the good don't ask, "Why did this happen?" They ask, "What is life trying to show me?" And it is this shift from emotional reaction to existential inquiry that makes all the difference. While others are caught in grief, they are catching a glimpse of the eternal. While others turn away from the burning body, they are drawn inward, watching the ego melt in that same flame. Their goodness is not about doing good deeds. It is about having a refined perception that sees beyond the ordinary, into the realm where truth dances in silence. Such people are rare but not unreachable. Every one of us has the potential to become one of them, not by becoming religious or pious, but by becoming real, by sitting with ourselves, by removing the layers of falsehood and seeing with naked clarity. For those who are awake inside, even a moment near a burning body is not darkness. It is illumination, because they see what is really being burned. The illusion that we are this body, this name, this story. And once seen, that truth never leaves them.